friends, I'm Walker and welcome back to Olive Ave Nails, where we talk about vegan and cruelty-free nail polish. Today I have the Olive Ave Polish Spring 2021 collection. This is Flora 2021. Olive Ave Polish, if you don't know, is my brand, so I sent these to myself, I guess, to review, but I'm really excited to share them with you. These are launching on Sunday, March 14th at noon EST, and I will put that down below in the description box. Let's dive in and talk about these 6 polishes, and then at the end, I'll tell you a little bit more about my thinking behind the collection, my favorites. Who am I kidding? I'm not going to tell you my favorite. I don't have a favorite, but I'll tell you a little bit more about the collection at the end. But let's dive in first and look at these 6 polishes. Okay, first up, we're going to look at Zinnia. This one is the lovely spring green cream from this collection, and I'm describing this one as a classic light green cream. I think it's definitely a little bit, you know, it has a little bit of that kind of yellowness to it that a kind of spring green, when I think of a spring green, does. This one is not a dusty spring shade. It is definitely a kind of bright white pastel, which I really like. I think it has a nice formula, so I wear this one in 2 coats. You might need 3 depending on your application and how long your nails are, of course, but I think this one is pretty opaque in 2 coats because it's not super light, right? It is a pastel, but it's definitely got a punch of color in here. And this is a color that I actually almost included in Flora last year, and then just kind of when I was pulling the collection together, finally realized that I just loved Calla Lily and I couldn't not have it. But this year it felt like I really needed to have this bright spring green in my spring collection. So that's 2 coats of Zinnia. Okay, so here is Zinnia compared to Palette Polish Sweet Mint. This is Zoya Neely and Zoya Tiana, and I think that Zinnia is a little bit deeper. It's a little bit almost more like green. I think some of these Tiana and Sweet Mint are a little bit more yellow, and Zinnia is a little bit more green, which feels silly to say because they're all definitely green, but this one's definitely a little bit more like kind of classic spring green. It has a little bit less of that yellow in here. So I'm going to show you these on the nails. Okay, next up is Peony, and this one I'm describing as a pale pink peachy cream. And I definitely think this one is like pink, but it has a little bit of that kind of peachy, almost like neutral color to it, which I really enjoy. I did hear from a couple of my swatchers that they wore this one in 3 coats. I wear this one in 2 coats. I think maybe I do thicker coats than other folks, but I wear it in 2 coats. I don't think that it is too patchy and streaky, like it's not very chalky, but you know, it is a lighter color, and so depending on your application, you might need 3 just to get it all the way closed up. This is another one that I also just felt like I couldn't really move on from Flora until there was this kind of light pink shade in here. I feel like this is a classic for spring, and I just love wearing it because it feels so kind of clean and bright and fresh. It's really what I love about a pastel. I just love that kind of white base. I feel like it's so classic and it's just so refreshing, which I really like. But this color definitely is pink, but it has a little bit of that peachy undertone, and it feels to me like a neutral, but on your skin it might look a little bit different. So that's 2 coats. Okay, here's some comparisons for Peony. I brought in Zoya's Colleen and Joey. They're both kind of like, in my mind, these like pink, peachy, neutral-y colors. I think I just said that kind of funny, pink. Anyways, I think that Joey is a bit too pink, and Colleen is probably the closest, and I think in my swatch photo that I posted on Instagram, my comparison photo, they do look a lot closer, but I think you can see in this lighting that I think that Peony is a bit more kind of white and peachy, whereas Colleen is a little bit more neutral, right? It's got a little bit more of that almost like kind of tan color in here and a little bit of muddiness. So I think they're both, I really liked Colleen when I swatched it. It's kind of a very similar like neutral pink, so they're very similar, but I do think that Peony is a bit more white in there. And then I did just want to bring in Hyacinth from last year from my spring collection just to show you how those compare. Okay, the last of the creams in this collection, this one is Lilac, and I'm describing this one as a true lilac cream balanced between purple and blue. And this one is right between purple and blue. I feel like when I was wearing it, I sometimes got confused about what color it was, and these are kind of my favorite colors. I love these almost purple, almost blue. I mean, really, I love anything that's a little bit blue, and these ones are just so much fun. This one, again, I think has a lot of that white base, so it's definitely a more pastel color, which to me just feels so crisp and so clean and so fun for spring, and so I hope that this feels like wearing spring on your nails when you wear it. It is maybe a little bit of a thinner formula than Zinnia, but I still found this one opaque in 2 coats. My nails are probably medium length now, so again, some of these you might need 3, depends on your nails, but I do feel like this one has a pretty smooth formula. You know, you don't get a ton of streaking or a ton of patchiness, but you know, everyone has slightly different experiences. This one, yeah, I don't know. I do think that it's more purple than it is blue, but it just has that super, super cool undertone that just gives it that really crisp look. So this is 2 coats of Lilac. I love it. There's nothing else to say. Okay, here's Lilac. I did just want to bring in Cornflower because Cornflower is kind of a blue with a little bit of purple in it. It's that like periwinkle, but definitely Lilac is much more blue than that. And then this is Zoya's Abby and Emerson. And again, neither of these are quite right. I do want to show you next to Cert Color's Highline as well. This one is definitely the closest. I would say Highline is a little bit more white. I think that in person, you can see that probably better than you can on camera. It's like slightly more white and slightly more blue, but these two are definitely similar. I love Highline, so I feel great about that. I think it's a beautiful color for spring. Okay, Flora is the topper in this collection, and Flora is a kind of pearly topper that adds a little bit of a rainbow to any shade, and you can build it up on its own in 2 to 3 coats. Probably 3 coats for most of us, but I really like it on top of other shades. That's kind of how I anticipate it being worn. And so this is Peony, and then we just saw it over Zinnia as well, but I think it looks gorgeous over any of the creams from this collection or from last year's collection. So here it is over Lilac. This is my favorite combination. This one to me is like unicorns or something. It's just absolutely perfect. I adore it. And so that is Flora in 1 coat over each of the creams in this collection. Okay, and then I really only have one to compare to Flora. This is Zoya's Leia, and they have a similar kind of shift in them, but I think the difference is there's a lot more of the white base in Flora, a lot more of that white color, and when you do Leia, you kind of see the individual shimmer particles in here, which is a very lovely finish, but Flora is a little bit more of just kind of a shift. So I will show you these over the same creams, just so you can see what I mean by kind of how that finish is different on these two. Next up is Cactus Flower. This one is maybe one of my favorites from the collection. I love this one a lot. It is a muted purple with a strong pink shimmer, and a couple people who've swatched this one have actually described it as like a denim-y blue, because it just has that like kind of muted purpley blue, almost like a little bit of steeliness in there. It's a really fun base color. It's definitely a different purple than Lilac. It's a very different take on a spring purple, but I love these dusty shades for spring. I think that they are so perfect for kind of especially early spring, and I love that the shimmer in this one to me kind of ties it in with the purple from last year's spring collection, which was Rhododendron. I did a really fun kind of nail art, very simple look with these two that I'll post on Instagram eventually, but I really loved Rhododendron kind of paired with this one because the shimmer just in Cactus Flower really spoke to it. So I wear this one in 2 coats. It has a pretty creamy base, so even though it's a shimmer, it does have a pretty creamy base, and it gets opaque in 2 coats for me. So that's Cactus Flower. Okay, here's Cactus Flower next to the 2 things that are probably closest in terms of finish in my collection, but not really in terms of color. I did have a couple people ask me about it compared to Lotus over here. I think it has a similar shimmer for sure, that kind of like fuchsia shimmer, but the base is a little bit more, it's a muted purple is what I call it, but it's a much more like blue toned purple. It's kind of like a denim-y purple. And then this is Nika. These are super different, but I'll show you on the nails in case that's helpful. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have Sage, and this one is another green. There are 2 greens in this collection because there were just not enough greens in last year's spring collection. This one is a soft, kind of muted sage green with a strong silver shimmer. And this is the only one in the collection that I definitely wear in 3 coats. You can wear it in 2 coats for sure. I have worn it in 2 coats, but my preferred way is 3 because I think you get a little bit more depth to that base color. So I'm going to show you it swatched in 3 coats. I think that that is probably how I will wear it when I wear it moving forward. I have tried it in 2, like I said, but I do like the depth that you get in the 3rd. And the silver shimmer in this one really pops, which is kind of why that base is a little bit more sheer so that you can get that really good pop of the silver shimmer. And this one just feels so connected to the name inspiration for me. I feel like sage just looks like this kind of muted green with that, like, you know, it gets the like fuzz on it. So I really love this one, and to me it totally matches the name. And I love it. I know that I have mostly named the rest of these polishes after flowers, but you know, Flora is like Spanish for flower, but in kind of English usage it means just like plants, right? So I feel like sage fits in this collection, and it is a beautiful polish, so we're gonna go with it. So you're looking at 3 coats of sage, and I adore it. Okay, so here's Sage and Calla Lily from last year, and then this one is Lacy, and I'm just gonna bring in real quick Zinnia just so you can see how the base color is different here. I did have a couple people ask me on Instagram how these compare. Zinnia, it definitely has a lot more of that yellow in it. Sage is a little bit more of the kind of muted out sage green, and then Calla Lily is kind of right in the middle. It almost has a little bit more blue in it, but it has that yellow shimmer, which I think makes it more related to Zinnia. And then I have Zoya's Lacy. This is the closest in my collection to sage, but it's definitely different, but I will show you them on the nails in case that's helpful. Okay, so if you follow Olive Ave Polish on Instagram, you've been seeing these reveals. I kind of reveal like 1 a day for the week before the collection launches. I think it's really, really fun. I hope other people think it's fun. And I share a little bit about each polish and the collection kind of as I reveal them. And one of the things that I talked a lot about was why I decided to continue with Flora for another year. So if you have been following me and you know my brand, then you know that last year my first spring collection was Flora with 6 polishes, and now this year I'm adding 6 more to it. And now I think after this, Flora is pretty wrapped up. It feels more complete to me. But when I sat down to think about spring for this year, honestly, like right after I launched spring last year was when I started planning for this year. I just felt like Flora wasn't done. I was like, I really wanted a green like Zinnia in the collection, and I almost included one last year, but I was limited by 6. I really wanted to stick to 6 that I loved, and so I put Calla Lily in instead as my green with a little bit of shimmer, which I thought was beautiful and perfect. But I just wanted a spring green cream. I was like, I need to have a green cream in my spring collection. And so I really felt like, you know, it wasn't totally wrapped up. I wanted to add a little bit more to it, and I had a really fun time kind of trying to curate a collection that would be 6 pieces for this year that went really well together and felt cohesive together, and also 6 pieces that would work really well with last year's colors without, you know, duplicating or, you know, feeling repetitive. I wanted it to feel totally unique and cohesive as a 12-piece set and also as 2 separate 6-piece sets. So that was really fun to do, and I really hope that you love it. I hope it also makes it feel like, you know, last year's spring colors are still relevant and beautiful, and you should still wear them even if they were from last year. I really wanted to try to think of unique sets of colors that I could share with you each season. So that has been a fun challenge so far. I hope that you're enjoying following along, and I really appreciate all of you for watching this video, for liking posts on Instagram. Everything you do is so supportive, and I really appreciate it. Let me know down below which is your favorite from this collection. I would love to hear from you. Again, this collection launches on Sunday, March 14th at noon EST. I'll put that down below in the description box. As always, I can't wait to hear from you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in next week's video.